Let's discuss markets now with Gautam Sinha, the Vice President and Fund Manager at Motilal Oswal AMC. Good afternoon, Gautam. Thanks so much for joining us here. You know, early days yet, but from the start of 2017, it's been such a tepid start for our markets, turning out to be so lackluster. You look at the other markets around the world, they're trying to hit record highs. What do you think our markets are waiting for the next trigger, whether it's a budget?
Yeah, indeed. There has been a lot of FIIs selling over the last 2 months, and that's what keeping markets down, other than the demonetization related fear. But one thing is for sure that this will be the year of earnings recovery for the broader index. I think that's the biggest trigger. Budget, of course, continues to be a trigger, but I'll mainly watch out for earnings recovery this year, which should really aid the markets going forward.
So you're saying that it's going to be the year of recovery when we talk about earnings. In which sectors are you expecting that? Because, you know, we also keep hearing about how the earnings are not going to be great in Q3 and Q4, especially for the consumption-related stocks.
Well, if you see last 3 years, earnings has been depressed because of PSU banks and metals and other such high beta names, real estate too. So I think recovery in PSU banks and metals earnings is what will start happening from Q3, and we are really sitting on a depressed base there, especially in PSU banks, even in metals. And you know that the worst of provisioning pressures for PSU banks are over. Commodity cycle globally is improving now. So I think both these sectors, commodity oriented sectors and the PSU banks, lenders to them, they will drive earnings going forward.
Right. Gautam, let's talk about how critical this quarter's IT earnings would be. Aside of the warning bells that we've already heard from, Vishal Sikka's letter to his employees, or for that matter, the NASSCOM sounding as well. What is it that you're hoping to hear from TSYS and INFI this week? And do you sense that it's going to be a bleak picture that we're going to hear out from the managements this week?
Well, honestly, the troubles there are quite a few, as you rightly said, but the main thing that I would be watching out for would be any improvement in the demand outlook. Because the reason we have been negative in the sector is because demand has been so weak. Demand growth is in a single digit for them in US dollar terms. That has to improve. So if that improves, everything else will follow from there. So that's the main thing to look out for.
What is it that you're hoping to expect from the PSU banking side, and HFCs as well added to that, as well as NBFCs? Because this is one space which sort of, gets the reality check of remonetization rather soon, and also tends to get most impacted as well.
I think PSU banks, of course, the provisioning numbers should start coming down on a YOY basis. HFCs, on the other hand, will see some decline in demand growth, but the growth will still be there. So no reason to be really negative on HFCs per se, other than the fact that valuations could be stretched in a few cases. But generally, the sector outlook for HFC structurally strong, but yeah, a demonetization-led blip will be there for sure, because we have seen the real estate sector demand getting impacted, especially in the month of November. Although, December data suggests that there might have been some recovery there, but we'd expect numbers to be more tepid on the HFC and NBFC side for the time being. On the NBFC side, the tepidness would be led by the lab book more than anything else, as well as consumption financing. But these are transient things. I think a couple of quarters of pressure and we should be done there. Structural story remains pretty much valid for both these sectors.
Gautam, you talked about commodities, how they're bouncing back in trade. So how would you approach the commodity stocks, whether from the private sector or the public sector? I'm talking about metals as well as oil and gas.
Metals is a space very difficult to call, and at Motilal Oswal we are more interested in investing in structural compounding stories, which are quality companies. So metals as a pack we will avoid. Oil marketing companies, I think, yeah, there is some valuation upside there which is left, because a lot of their profits are coming from a marketing-oriented retailing business, which is more secular in nature. The refining business also has been doing pretty well, although it's much more cyclical, and that's something we typically avoid. But the cycle is working in their favor for now, and I think we are more interested in the marketing-related assets of these businesses. These companies are trading at multiples of 8 to 10 times current year earnings, which I think is cheap. So we remain invested in the oil marketing pack. Other than that, most of the cyclicals are a strict avoid for us. A selective PSU bank may qualify because that has been doing pretty well even in tough times. But generally, we tend to not invest largely in these kind of cyclical, deep cyclical sectors.
What about, you mentioned the oil marketing company, but what about the upstream pack, whether it's an ONGC, Oil India, Cane India, and while we're talking about PSUs, we got a lot of news over the weekend with reference to some companies like BML or EIL. How do you read all of these kind of PSU stocks?
Well, some of these companies are actually good quality companies, both BML and EIL. Their earnings tend to be less cyclical. Of course, they're a function of capex happening in the system. I think the oil capex, especially downstream oil capex, is definitely going to come back given the profitability that the state refiners, the OMCs, have been making. So yeah, from that perspective, if the capex cycle is recovering and you have a quality play on that, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Valuations is another thing. Of course, valuations tend to have overshot of late there. But I think, overall the PSU space has some select good quality options that you can play on, and we'd largely focus on those, and not the general PSU pack, because the quality element tends to be largely missing, broadly speaking.
Fair point, Gautam. Lastly, a word in on the auto numbers as well that we've seen so far, and thereby what sort of earnings commentary do you hope to hear from the managements when the quarterly numbers are announced? Because it's just getting so diversified within autos. You've got an Eicher, Maruti and Tata Motors, especially the JLR quotient, completely untouched from demonetization. And at the same time, you have, the likes of M&M, the entire two-wheeler basket, or for that matter, Escorts as well, which get hit because of the cash transactions, and more importantly, remonetization completely negating the impact of a good monsoon on the rural demand. What is it that you're hoping to hear from the auto sector? Okay, let me quickly cut across to Dharmendra Pradhan's bite as well, and we'll just come right back with Gautam Sinha.
सरकार ने पहले से ही, आज ही नहीं, पिछले 2016 फरवरी में ही एक सर्कुलर निकाला था। देश में डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन बढ़े, कैशलेस की ओर देश बढ़े, लेस कैश इकोनॉमी की ओर देश बढ़े, इसलिए जो ट्रांजैक्शन होगा उसमें से ग्राहकों के ऊपर उसकी कोई बोझ ना आए, ये एक निर्णय 2016 फरवरी में सरकार ने किया था। सरकार उस फैसला को अमल करवाएगी। आने वाले दिनों में भी जितने भी प्रकार की डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन होगा, विशेष करके पेट्रोल पंप में हम लोगों ने ये तय किया है, ग्राहकों के ऊपर उसकी कोई पासन नहीं होगा। बाकी एक व्यावसायिक कारोबार है, पोस्ट मशीन लगती है, उसकी कुछ कॉस्ट है, उसकी कुछ सर्विस चार्जेस है, ये सारे जो उसमें स्टेक होल्डर है, ये एक बिजनेस मॉडल पे वार्ता कर रहे हैं। उसकी हिट, उसकी एमडीआर की हिट, एमडीआर के बारे में भी रिजर्व बैंक ने एक नई गाइडलाइन दे दिया है। 1000 रुपया के नीचे कितना आएगी, 2000 रुपया के नीचे कितनी लगेगी, और 2000 रुपया के ऊपर के ट्रांजैक्शन पे कितनी कॉस्ट आएगी एमडीआर। इसके ऊपर आरबीआई की गाइडलाइन पे सबको चलना पड़ेगा, लेकिन उसकी हिट कौन लेगा? बैंक, ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी, ये दोनों बात कर रहे हैं। हम कल भी आश्वस्त किए थे, जो रिटेल आउटलेट ओनर है, पेट्रोल पंप वाले हैं, ये तो एक कमीशन एजेंट के रूप में काम करते हैं, उनके ऊपर भी हम कोई पासन नहीं करें, उनके ऊपर भी कोई बोझ नहीं डालेंगे, ये भी हमने तय किया है। बाकी बैंक और ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी दोनों इस विषय पे बात चर्चा कर रहे हैं। आने वाले कुछ दिनों में इसके बारे में एक मैकेनिज्म निकाल दिया जाएगा, जिसके आउटकम मैं पहले से ही बता दूं, ग्राहकों के ऊपर कोई बोझ नहीं आएगा, पेट्रोल पंप ओनर के ऊपर कोई बोझ नहीं आएगा।
सर पेट्रोल पंप क्या 13 तारीख के बाद वापस से कार्ड एक्सेप्ट ना करने का बोल रहे हैं?
कोई देखो ये उनका एसोसिएशन की भाषा है, लेकिन मेरे को उन्होंने जो बात बताई है, सरकार को कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, सरकार की सारे फैसले के साथ तो लोग हैं। मैं मानता हूं कि ये कोई विषय 13 तारीख या 12 तारीख या 9 तारीख की विषय नहीं है। मैं आपको बिल्कुल आश्वस्त करता हूं, देश की सामान्य नागरिकों को जो जाके पेट्रोल पंप में डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे हैं वो करते रहेंगे, वो फैसिलिटी।
सर तो फिर ये एमडीआर कौन बेयर करेगा? कौन बेयर करेगा ये?
ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनियां पहले उनके ऊपर 5-4 करोड़ रुपए का बोझ पड़ा, डिस्काउंट दे रही हैं वो।
ठीक है, आप मनगढ़ंत तथ्यों को मत लाइए। कैसे आप 5,000 लाए, आप बड़े विशेषज्ञ हो, मेरे को मालूम नहीं है, लेकिन मैं आपको बिल्कुल कहता हूं ये इसे बिजनेस मॉडल बिटवीन बैंक्स एंड ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी, लेट देम डिसाइड।
Who will bear the cost then, sir?
They will decide ना, the two partners will decide who will take which much of cost.
सर क्या इस फार्मूले पे भी काम हो रहा है कि बैंक कुछ करेंगे और कुछ जो ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी कर सकती है?
ना आप बैंक हो, ना आप ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी हो, ना मैं बैंक हूँ, ना मैं ऑयल मार्केटिंग कंपनी हूँ। वो दोनों अलग अलग बिजनेस स्वतंत्र एंटिटी है। Certainly, सरकार will not take the cost. This is a business model. This will be taken care by. There are other 2-3 players are there. There are 2-3 more players are there. वो 2-3 प्लेयर और भी है जो कार्ड चलाने वाले कंपनी है, पोस्ट मशीन प्रोवाइड करने वाले कंपनी है। ये एमडीआर चार्ज आखिर होता क्या है? ये सारे बिजनेस मॉडल में सबके अपना अपना हिस्सा होता है। ये हार्ड निगोशिएट करके ये कितना कम हो पाए, दुनिया में कितना हो पाता है, कितने इसके ज्यादा ना लगे कम लगे, इसके कई सारे मॉडल्स हम लोग अनुध्यान कर रहे हैं। ये बार्गेनिंग हो रहा है।
सर 13 तारीख तक रिजोल्व हो जाएगा सर ये इशू?
बिल्कुल, आप बिल्कुल देश की नागरिकों को स्वेच्छा से जाके कार्ड यूज करेंगे। लोगों को जो हमने 0.75 कैशबैक की इंसेंटिव दिया है उसको भी मिलते रहेगा, कोई उसमें दिक्कत नहीं होगा।
तो 13 तक तो रिजोल्व हो जाएगा, 13 तारीख तक डेडलाइन दिया उन्होंने।
हो जाएगा, देखो 1-2 दिनों में कोई उसकी बड़ी बात नहीं होती है, लेकिन मेरे ये एक बार्गेनिंग चल ही रहा है, एक निगोशिएशन चल रहा है। मैं मानता हूँ एक सुखद रास्ता निकल जाएगी।
Okay, that's the word coming in from the oil minister clarifying on reports that they will not be burdening the customers with their excessive fuel surcharge and that cash transactions will still be allowed at petrol stations. He says they're trying to ensure charges are not passed on to the customers. He says banks and OMCs are currently in discussion on the MDR charges and that they assure consumers that digital facility will continue at petrol stations. Okay, back to Gautam Sinha then. He's still been waiting by. Gautam, sorry for that interruption, but you were talking about your thoughts on the auto space.
Yeah, see, the auto space, as you have rightly said, post demonetization, we have seen diverse trends. But that's pretty much priced in, where stocks with the counters where the impact has been minimal, where the prices have really recovered, and the vice versa too. So I think you have to remember that this is a transient phase and the worst is probably over. So the commentary that you look forward to, especially for the counters which are impacted, the companies which are impacted, is how are they seeing their demand trends shaping up in the month of January? Because anecdotally speaking, a lot of the impact of demonetization has already, the worst has already been seen. We are seeing improving trends across the economy. So if that holds true for these companies in general, and they are back to business as usual, then valuations should also start reflecting that. I think the market will soon forget the demonetization impacts and really move on to the long-term earnings trajectory, both for these kind of companies and for the economy in general too. Of course, wherever the long-term impact of demonetization continues to be there in a negative sense, the multiple de-rating will continue. So that is something that we have to be more mindful of. I don't think autos will qualify in that pack. That's my sense right now. But let's wait for the results.
Okay, Gautam, as always, a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks so much for joining us here on Markets at Lunch with your outlook for the Lal Street in the new year. We have to take a short commercial break, but the markets are off the day's lows. You're seeing the Nifty trying to breach 8250, just 2 points below that psychological level. We'll take a short commercial break and be back to discuss more markets and stocks.